Hey guys, I hope you're doing well today. This week I went to Dollar Tree to purchase a ton of really cheap dollar art supplies to do the Dollar Art Challenge. So I'm hoping to show you guys that you don't always need the most expensive art supplies to create beautiful artwork. And of course I want to push myself to keep getting better at art, and the only way to really do that is to practice, to do different techniques, and step out of my comfort zone. Really quickly, if you missed out on my two most recent videos, I'm going to link those in the description box below. Breakfast journal number 18 and a really cool DIY desk calendar. But now without further ado, let's get on into the dollar art supplies. My hands didn't know where to go. First, I'm going to give you guys an overview of the different products, art supplies that I purchased from Dollar Tree. So I got these different pens, mechanical pencils, markers, and I was really surprised to see that there are Sharpies at the dollar store, also Elmer's glue and Mod Podge. I didn't expect to see any of those things there. But for everything else, it's my first time trying these out, aside from Papermate brand pens, but I don't think I've had this particular style of their pens before. And Scotch tape, obviously, but I didn't end up using that in this video. I got a bunch of extra things because I was thinking of doing maybe some sort of mixed media project, but I just ended up doing a drawing. To make this a true dollar art challenge, I found various sorts of papery things, such as this Polaroid copy paper, these file folders that I thought might work good as like cardstock, an actual sketch pad, and I think this was the last one, so I got pretty lucky, and poster board. Also, I was looking through the books and I came across this gem. It's really cool, and when I was flipping through, I got inspiration for the artwork that I'm going to do in today's video, which is a lovely crystal formation. So here's how I chose between the sketch pad paper and the Polaroid copy paper. Also, I just wanted to see how all the pens were working, what different colors I had to work with and everything like that. So here's a test of mostly everything on these two papers here to compare. The very muted brown tones are eyeshadow. I did end up going with the sketch pad paper because things did look a tiny bit more vivid on that. I do want to show you these paint pots. They don't say if they're acrylic or tempera. I'm not really sure. The pink one is extra gooey and the paint brushes are so stiff. So I recommend going in the makeup aisle and finding a makeup brush. Alright, so I'm starting out with a blank sheet of the sketch pad paper and a Click mechanical pencil. This pencil works really well, which I'm not surprised about. Normally you can get a good pencil and a good pen from the dollar store. The only thing about this one is having the click on the grip is a little bit weird to hold. Not a deal breaker, but also not my top choice. I'd rather just have a plain gripper and have the click on top or something, but it is very convenient. And as you can see, I sketched the basic outline of my test crystal formation. So for this middle part of the video, I'm going to be testing the different products together to see what looks best and see if I'd rather use the markers and pens or the watercolor paints, or a combination of both. After getting the pencil lines down, I went in with a couple different black pens. Here I'm using a gel one, and on the others I ended up using a felt tip one, and I did like the felt tip one a little bit better. I felt that it didn't pool up as much as the gel pen did. A lot of times when I'm drawing a straight line, I stop a couple times so there's kind of like a ball of ink, if that makes sense, in the middle, and I think with the felt tip pen that is less visible. After getting all of the pencil lines covered with black ink, I let that dry for a few minutes, and once I was certain that it wasn't going to smear, I went in with the eraser from the mechanical pencil and just got rid of all those sketch lines so the piece will look neater. I did actually forget to buy an eraser from the dollar store, but this one on the mechanical pencil worked great actually, and there were no problems getting rid of the pencil. Okay, now I'm going to start coloring it in, and if you're looking at this and thinking that the thumbnail was clickbait, it's definitely not. This is just a test, as I mentioned. I'm going to be moving on to the real piece in a couple minutes, or however long this part takes me to get through. I started off with this purple marker, which I feel works pretty well. I'm not a fan of the size of the tip because it's not pointed, so therefore it's hard to get in small detailed spaces. But as for the pigment of the ink, it's very dark and it goes on the page really well without bleeding. Then I'm using a couple of the different ballpoint pens, but there's not too much of a difference in the tone of the middle one that I used, so I think moving forward I'm just going to be using one of those pens. By the way, I do recommend these pens. They write really nicely. The color shows up nicely. There's no gaps in the ink where it like stops and then starts again, so I do like these. Now moving on to the crayons. Those of you who have been been with my channel for a while probably know that I am super biased to Crayola, and I love Crayola so much. And no, this is not sponsored by Crayola. Their products aren't even in the video, but their crayons work so well. I was even a Crayola snob as a very young child. I could always spot the difference between the quality of crayons. Even rose art was too waxy for my preference. And that's basically how these crayons are. Super, super, super waxy. They do have a kind of nice color, but they scratch off the page very easily. For something like this, it's gonna work, but I just wouldn't recommend it for coloring books unless you don't have another choice. I also decided to go in with some pink, as you see here, to give it a little bit of variation in color. And here you can see I'm doing some shading, making dark areas and light areas to show the variation of shadows and reflections. One of the trickiest things I came across was trying to get a highlight put back into the stone because I didn't leave any white part. So I tried the whiteout pen, which has great color, but it kind of pools up and is very tricky to use for small detailed areas. So I didn't have a lot of luck with this whiteout pen yet, but you'll see later how I remedied the issue. The white crayon over the marker and pen doesn't show up too much, but if you want something extra subtle, that might be the route you want to take. Okay, over here for this left crystal, I decided to leave white lines next to all of the black lines. My vocabulary is so extensive, as you can tell. No, but really, I just left a white gap inside all of the black outlines. And this is just going to save me a lot of hassle trying to get the white back in. I just won't take it away in the first place. Okay, here's the last test before we move on to the actual art. I got out the paints. Here I'm testing the white, whatever that is, acrylic, tempera, who knows. It shows up at first, but when putting it on the marker, it kind of blends with the marker ink and then turns like pink almost when I put it on the purple. Here I'm trying the watercolors. They have a decent pigmentation, as you can see here, but what you can't really tell is how powdery and flaky they look on the paper. And also, since the dollar store didn't have any watercolor paper, it is really eating away at the fibers of the page and ripping it. And the last thing that you can probably see already is that it's making the fine liner ink bleed, so that is definitely not going to work out. Alright, I'm ready to reveal the new rock formation that I sketched out while watching American Horror Story. For those of you who also watch American Horror Story, let me know what your favorite seasons are, maybe your least favorites. I was watching Hotel while doing this, and I just finished. I actually really liked Hotel. At first, the first episode was extremely weird, but I did get into it and I liked the characters, I liked the backstories. I thought it was great. Definitely a ton of disturbing scenes, but hey, that's what the show's about, right? As of last night, I started season 6 and I'm on episode 3. It's definitely my least favorite out of all the previous. The pack of markers that I got have very dark colors, so they're really only going to work for shading or shadows, but they are very slightly buildable, so you can see that I did build up more color and pigment at the bottom of that purple and then gradually made it a tiny bit lighter, or just normal. If any of you are wondering why I didn't pick up any colored pencils, I thought that I had thrown a pack in my basket, but I must have forgotten. I don't know how I did that. They had an 8 or 10 pack with just very basic colors, but I'm almost glad that I didn't get colored pencils because it forced me to use pens and markers to do an art piece instead of what I'm most comfortable with, which would be colored pencils. So it kind of made me step outside my comfort zone even more. By the way, how beautiful is this blue crayon shade? Pretty turquoise, or cerulean, the Crayola color. Kind of looks like that. Now here is a solution that I found was best suited to add white into my art piece. I took the tip of the correction pen or the whiteout and I put it on the plastic packaging of the markers. Then I took the mechanical pencil, pushed the lead out a little bit, and used that as a paintbrush / dotting tool to get the white onto the image. For this you have to work really fast because it dries quickly, but it's well worth it. And for this image I decided to do a purple, blue, and magenta pink color scheme. You're probably seeing here on this blue crystal that on the left hand side that's bordering the purple, I am going in with some purple ink just to show that these rocks are reflective and they're gathering the colors of the crystals next to them. So on the right hand side I did go in with magenta since I'm doing that color on the right. Oh, this one matches my nail polish. I didn't even notice. I wanted to make sure that the 3 main crystals on top were the brightest and most pigmented. Then when I moved down to the smaller ones in that bottom cluster, I wanted to put more white in those to show that they were lighter. And I did stop using the markers and only used the Clip Click pens at this point, the ballpoint ones. Most of these little crystals I'm just using one color for and doing reflections in very small areas of the other colors, but I did make a couple multicolored ones. As you can see, I think they look so magical and beautiful. Alright, so now I'm putting on the finishing touches, and I did go back in and add more of the white highlight with the whiteout pen. I couldn't think for a second. I'm really happy with the way that this turned out. I was kind of nervous going into this that it would turn out awful, not because of the products, just because I don't do a whole lot of drawing anymore and I need to really get back into it and practice a lot more. So this is kind of like a warm-up exercise for me, and I put my heart into it and I tried really hard. And I think that it paid off. I'd be really interested to try this with some more high-end products and maybe a watercolor version too. I think that would be really beautiful. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up to let me know. And if you have any questions at all about the products or suggestions of other art videos that you want to see in the future, leave all that in the comment section below. I am thinking to maybe do a second installment of this dollar art supplies challenge and do like a mixed media piece or like a watercolor background with a mandala drawing on the top. So let me know what you think of that, and thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you're interested in seeing more videos on my channel, don't forget to subscribe. The red button is down there. New upload every single Friday and Sunday, so I hope to see you back here in just a couple days for a really cute Christmas card / holiday card DIY. What was I doing with my hands? Have a great rest of the day, everyone, and I'll see you soon. Bye! Hair in my mouth. Let's get on into the dollar art supplies. Can't talk. Let's go.